Welcome to Brevard News, your trusted news source in Brevard County. And I'm here with Katie Delaney, who is running for County Commission, as well as Troy Tidwell, who is also running for Titusville City Council. And we wanted to talk about some issues that are really important to Brevard County. We'll start with you, Troy. It's really important. Now, I want to read this last fall, or actually, this wasn't last fall, it's been a couple of years now. Titusville approved making a right to clean water a part of their city's charter. And so it was approved by 82% of the people. 82% of the people of Titusville approved this. The city drug their feet on it, right, and wouldn't validate it. Now they want to go back after a judge ruled that this was constitutional. They want to go back and file a complaint or to actually appeal. This is outlandish. And again, it's another, I think, tell me where I'm wrong. This seems like another reason to see, and another way to see that the people who are serving in Titusville have contempt for the people they're serving. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, actually, Kevin, thank you. You're not wrong, and it's great to be back around the table. And happy New Year, everybody. For me, and I'm going to get to your question in just a moment, but I'm glad it's 2024, and I'm glad 2023 is over. 2023 is really tough for a lot of people, and a lot of tough things happen in the city of Titusville, and not just in Titusville, everywhere. Everything's more expensive: gas, groceries. Interest rates are sky high, so housing is difficult. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But the good news is 2024. There is hope. So this year, and which is one of the reasons why we have this forum, the people are going to get a chance to decide who their new leaders are going to be for the next 4 years and what their state and city and their country is going to look like. So that's why I'm excited to be here. And then to get to your question, I did have a chance to attend the last city council meeting, and there was a couple of things that came up. One was SB 102, which, and if we have time, we'll get to that. But to your bigger question, which is about the right to clean water, yes, the city of Titusville, almost 83% of the voters voted yes, we want the Right to Clean Water Act as part of the city charter. Um, so you would think, that being said, it'd be a done deal, right? But it didn't happen that way. So, two different occasions last year, in two separate council sessions, the city council voted unanimously to appeal the will of the voters. Okay, so the first appeal went for a judge. He sided with the voters. He said, hey, the people got it right. That wasn't good enough, right? Second vote of council, again, another unanimous vote, 5-0. They went for a second appeal to the Florida Supreme Court. A different judge said, hey, the voters got it right. So the last council meeting in December, which I was there, it was a huge topic. It was very contentious, a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, a lot of public comments. And every single public comment was against another appeal. And they still voted 3-2 for a third appeal to the Supreme Court. And they've also hired outside counsel to the tune of $30,000 on the backs of the taxpayers. The only thing I will say, the only bright spot, and it's just a small bright spot in that meeting, is that Mayor Diesel and Vice Mayor Joe Robinson, they did vote against the appeal. So they did get it right. And I don't always agree with those two, but in this case, they were thoughtful about it. They discussed how they arrived at their opinion, and those two got it right. But Herman Cole, Sarah Stokel, and Jolyn Nelson, they failed Titusville.
What was the basis of why they said that they wanted to make another appeal?
You know, really they felt that the language in the summary was a little bit vague and unclear.
Mm.
So they thought that they should go back to the Supreme Court and ask for a redo on the ballot for stronger language. They just didn't like the way it was worded. But again, 83% of the voters in Titusville, they said yes,
I guess that means nothing.
should be done deal. Yeah.
So, as you attended the meeting, what was the feel of the meeting as you were there at the city council?
Well, as most of the meeting, a large part of the meeting was taken up by public discussion and public comments, which I commend, as there was a huge turnout by the citizens. And overwhelmingly, and a lot of prominent people were there, by the way, former city solicitor, and a lot of high-profile people in Titusville all came and spoke out against it. So when it went 3-2, I could not believe it. I couldn't have been more disappointed. And again, they let the city down that last time. So I don't know what the date is for the new appeal, but we're all going to be paying attention.
Some of the other things that you picked up at the council meeting, there were some other things discussed as well. You wanted to talk about that?
You guys brought it up the last time we were here, and it's SB 102. And Katie's really the one that got me looking deep into this, or taking a deeper dive. SB 102, better known as the Live Local Act, as you guys know, was also voted unanimously in by the council. And so I started looking into it and trying to define for myself what it really means. So I think I owe it to the viewers to give them the quote unquote government definition of what SB 102 is. And I'm sure you guys have already seen this, but I think a lot of people haven't. So here is the government's definition of what the Live Local Act is. A housing strategy designed to increase affordable housing opportunities for Florida's workforce who desire to live in the community they serve. That sounds really nice, doesn't it?
Oh, it sounds
It sounds
wonderful.
great,
Oh,
but
that's wonderful.
it gets better. If you guys would allow me to read this um, really quick. Companies from all over the country are already starting to swoop in Florida and try to take advantage of this. This is just one advertisement that I came across. It says, and I won't mention the name of the company, ready to take advantage of the Live Local Act. The Live Local Act has been dubbed the largest investment in housing in Florida history, creating a massive opportunity for developers.
There you go.
The act is set to largely be beneficial for property developers operating in Florida, especially those who have experience in delivering affordable housing. The three key elements that are likely to be a positive impact to developers are, and this is where it gets ugly, exemptions to zoning laws,
Yep.
tax exemptions,
Check.
opening up other funding options.
Check.
So that's all code for, hey, we're going to fleece the taxpayers.
Absolutely.
Okay, and the worst part of it is, as Katie mentioned last time, the voters now have no say so. There's no public hearing
Right.
on any of this development. No matter
Right.
where you live, no matter where you work, doesn't matter. And so that's why I'm running, and I'm sure that's why Katie's running, because we've got to get people in office that have the guts to stand up and repeal this type of garbage.
And it can be repealed. This is just an ordinance. It can actually be
Absolutely.
repealed, right?
And this is legislation that the people don't want. It's all done
Right.
largely in secret,
Right.
and most people don't know about it. So we're going to get the word out.
If you follow that act to its logical conclusion, you also then can piggyback the eminent domain on that, right? I mean, the developers have the right, under certain circumstances with eminent domain, they can come in and take your property. I mean, is that far-fetched?
It's conceivable.
Okay.
And to me, with all this money being available for developers, I think it opens up a lot of opportunity for corruption.
Yeah.
It really does. And as you said last time, it just doesn't pass the smell test. It stinks.
And as we move over to cocoa, there's a stench coming from cocoa, right, Katie? So there's a property development there where there's problems similar to what's happening in Titusville, right?
Yes, unfortunately, there's two properties that were annexed into the city of Cocoa, and originally they were county lots, and they're surrounded by rural communities, mostly horse properties, and so there's one just north of 528, right next to 95, and there's basically a mirrored property just south of 528, bordering 95. And it's these two lots are,
Both are off of Friday Road, is that?
so the one is off of Friday Road to the
Okay.
south, and then there's one at the very south end of Canaveral Groves.
Okay.
And 528 Road basically splits the two lots. They're 200 and something acre lots that they want to put 300 to 400 houses on each one of those lots. The one to the south, it's looking like the property lines are going to be about 1/10 of an acre. The one to the north is looking about, I've heard, between 1/10 of an acre and a quarter of an acre. So possibility of slightly larger lots in the north end one. But the issue is that there's no way to access these properties without going through rural horse communities. And so they want 700 to 800 vehicles going down these roads that are, again, rural. You're having an urban neighborhood stuck directly in the middle of a rural one. And it just doesn't go with the comprehensive plans.
Are the people aware? Are the people in those communities aware of what's going on?
Most of them are not aware. And it's because these issues are not being talked about very broadly at the county commission because the lots are annexed into the city. So the county residents that live around these two lots, they're not watching the Cocoa City Council meetings. Why would they? They don't live in the city of Cocoa.
But it's going to affect them.
But it's
Or the
going to
city of
majorly
Cocoa
affect
does.
them. Yeah. So the one to the south, you have James Road, which they're going to be putting speed bumps all along. And then you have Friday Road, which that's a very long road, I believe, with one stop sign. And it's a very narrow 2-lane road.
We got some, as I recall, having driven down that road many times, there's some ditches.
Oh, yeah.
Really deep ditches
Probably
along
about
both,
15-foot
yeah,
ditches on
along
either
both sides of
side.
that road, yeah.
Yeah. So it's either going to be extremely expensive to widen that road or it's just not possible or feasible. And the other concern is getting emergency vehicles to those properties because they have to go through this one entrance down, again, a rural community to get to these neighborhoods. And not just speaking about safety or density issues. Now we have all these children who are going to go into these homes, and the schools just don't have the space for them.
So what? There's a hearing coming up on this, and so the
On
Cocoa
Tuesday.
on this coming Tuesday.
Yep.
And tell everyone how they can actually get to the meeting and what time is the meeting.
So the county commission and the city of Cocoa are both having their meetings on the same night, of course. The county is having their meeting Tuesday at 5 o'clock at the Vieira building, and then the county commission building, and then the city of Cocoa is having their meeting at City Hall at, I believe, 6 o'clock or 6:30. I think it's 6:30. So it's definitely interesting the timing that they have both of them the
Not
same
an
night,
accident, right?
right?
So do you think that they're baking apathy into their decision? That they're not really expecting people to come out also to contest this?
The way that it's put on the agenda, unless you know what they're talking about, you wouldn't really think about it. Because what they're updating is their interlocal agreements between the city of Cocoa and the county. Interestingly enough, they didn't post the changes to the interlocal agreement, which is I don't know how legal that is according to Sunshine Law. And on top of that, it's just another example of how these politicians are not transparent, and they're, for a lack of a better way to say this, they screw the people over at every chance they get.
So what can the people do? I mean, so you got these things going on, and it's happening in increasing fashion. What can the people do, as you see it, Troy and Katie? You guys are running for office. You're running for a reason. What can the people do? A lot of people are just being hit by so many things coming from so many directions, and it's like government has just run amok.
Oh, yeah.
What can the people do to take back their cities and their counties and to actually restore freedom
Exactly.
in this area?
So one of the things that we saw a great example of this year was the sample ballots issue. When the county tried to get rid of sample ballots and the people found out, you had both sides of the parties coming together and fighting for what they wanted. And at the end, the people won. The people won that argument, and we got our sample ballots funded. So if the people are able and willing to stay involved, just keeping an eye on the different agendas that are coming out. Not that you have to be at every meeting or watch every meeting, but just kind of being aware of what they're talking about on a regular basis would help, because if we catch these things in the planning stages, it's way easier to stop than at the back end of them.
And here at Brevard News, if you don't catch it, we will. Troy, tell us,
You know,
what can people do?
for me, the biggest thing people can do, especially in an election year, is to avoid being apathetic. Get out there, get informed, make sure you vote. Um, you know, January is a big month for people to start to declare what offices they're going to run for. And so people will begin to see their choices. And I would just encourage people to pay attention, see who shows up, see who's real and see who's fake, see who is a professional politician or see who, you know, see who actually cares about what they're doing. For me, it's not just a hobby, right?
Correct.
It's just, I mean, I've got a full-time gig, a full-time job, I'm busy, but this is that important. So again, people just need to stay positive. There is hope. 2024 can be a really amazing year for the country and for Titusville and for Brevard County. They just need to get out there and vote and participate in the process.
This is a big year, 2024, and you really need someone to actually look through the weeds and tell you what's happening. And at Brevard News, we're going to get that done for you. We have two great candidates that are running for office. These are the people you need to be voting for. And if you want things to change, you need to get up and support them and actually get involved yourself. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful week.